Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for kicking out a guest for getting upset with my daughter? Throwaway as it involves a little too much info for my liking. Grammar isn't my strong suit, so sorry for any errors. I, 40s, had a long-time friend, 40s, Mary, stay at my house this past week for a visit. Mary lives in a city 3 hours away, and I live in the country on 20 acres, so she wanted to come on a vacation, to catch up and unwind. Things went great for the most part, until she woke up early one morning. This is where the problem started. I have a 9-year-old daughter named Lori. Every morning since it got warm out, Lori has started coming out on the porch as soon as she wakes up with a glass of tea and whatever book she is reading at that moment. She usually wakes up an hour before everyone else. Now, I don't mind this. She never leaves the porch, and I have a Ring camera, so we had a discussion on rules around it, and as long as she continues as she has, her dad and I don't mind. Just an important note. Our home is not close to a road, so we feel it's safe. Well, as I stated, one morning, Mary woke up early. I woke up to the camera as per usual and saw Lori on the porch and dozed back off. I woke up again to the camera and screaming. I checked the camera and rushed outside as Mary was yelling at Lori. When I got to the porch, Lori was in tears and Mary asked me if I knew Lori was outside when no one was awake. I told her yes, and sorry for forgetting to tell her about this. I told her it's okay, and Lori does this every morning and we are okay with it. Mary yelled that this was abuse as Lori was way too young to be outside without supervision. I informed her I had a camera and Lori was perfectly safe. She continued to lay into me about it until I told her I think it'd be best if she left. She packed up and left within the hour. My husband thinks I'm in the wrong for kicking Mary out when she was just concerned for Lori and that Mary was from the city where it isn't safe to allow something like this. I think I could be in the wrong for not explaining our mornings, but I don't think I'm wrong for allowing Lori her quiet mornings on the porch. Am I the antagonist? TLDR. Friend from the city is mad that I'll let my 9-year-old sit on the porch before we wake up in the morning. AITA for kicking her out over it. Now for the top comments. NTA. Your friend sounds unhinged. 9 is plenty old enough to sit on the porch and read. This is obviously extremely tuned to the safety of this person's neighborhood/area, but fucking absolutely a 9-year-old can sit on the front porch alone. I'd roam the damn neighborhood at 9 on a bike. NTA. Your daughter was on your front porch, not a nightclub 5 miles away. Plus your daughter is 9 years old. She understands the rules you set forth for her. Mary is overstepping her bounds by a lot to think that she can yell at you or your daughter. You are in no way in the wrong for letting Lori sit on the porch and read books and drink tea. Hell, that's a very mature thing and she should be encouraged. Don't know many 9-year-olds who do that. You've got one hell of a good kid by the sounds of it. Don't let this get her down. I think it's mostly a phase, unfortunately. She's always loved reading. My house is constantly full of new books, but she's been watching a lot of movies and TV shows where the main character likes to drink coffee and read outside in the morning. She thinks it's very grown up. NTA. Even if your daughter was doing something wrong, she should never have screamed at her. That's enough to kick her out alone. Am I the antagonist for not inviting my sister to my pregnancy announcement? For some very messy context, I, 37F, am married to Ryan, 36 male. I have a sister who we'll call Sam, 32F, and an ex-husband, who we'll call Dan, 34 male. Cut straight to the point. Dan and Sam are married now. Dan had an affair with her which I only found out about through one of his friends who had felt guilty about knowing. We got divorced, and they got married a year later, which obviously I wasn't invited. While this was an awkward point in my family, we no longer talk about it. I usually just avoid the two of them where possible. Me and Ryan met a few years later, and have been married for 2 years now. Recently I found out I was pregnant, and decided to hold a small family gathering with our parents, his sister and a few other close members. My sister and Dan were not invited. My mother brought this up, but forgot about it once I had told her the news. She told Sam apparently once she got home. which didn't surprise me really. I got a strongly worded text, to put it nicely, from Sam saying that it was horrible of me not to invite her as it excluded her from the family and my baby was going to be her niece and nephew anyway. We continued on talking, me explaining why she wasn't invited obviously, that being that I wanted a comfortable family gathering, which led to her going on about her being a part of the family, which meant she should been invited. I spoke to my mother about it, and she agrees with Sam, saying that whether I like it or not I'd have to get used to Sam and Dan, since they would be in the child's life. That not inviting them was petty of me. I don't really know what to think right now. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTA Wold told her she's not part of my family ever, since she fucked my husband. You're definitely a very nice person to even talk to her after that. Exactly. And the mum assumed that they would be part of the child's life. Also, congratulations. Hang on a minute. Your own sister fucked your husband, causing the two of you to divorce. After which she married him, and, wait for it, she's pissed off at you because you didn't invite her to your pregnancy announcement. Really? Honey, you are way more forgiving than I would have been. I'd have you yeeted her home rooking ass into the wide blue yonder and cut contact with both of them permanently. That you have allowed her any access to you, your husband and now new family honestly qualified you for a sainthood. I'm filling out the paperwork right now. NTA at all. She can just put up with being included in whatever small part of your life you choose to, and everyone else can pull their heads in and mind their own business. It's not for your mother or anyone else to tell you how you should be reacting, or even to request your sister's presence in any aspect of your life. Am I the antagonist for being blunt about how my birthday went? This happened last month, but my friends act like I'm the biggest asshole for it. Maybe I am. That's for you to decide. I wanted to see a movie and go out to dinner for my birthday. My 3 friends didn't want to watch the movie, but were okay with dinner. On the day of, I got stood up at the restaurant. NGL. It was not fun sitting alone at a table for 4 and never getting a message that no one was coming. I found out the next day that one friend, Trish's other friend, has a huge blowout with their family and needed support. I never liked this friend for being really condescending to me. I'm Indonesian and my English ain't the best, and for what they say about my home country, I will admit, Indonesia isn't the best place on earth, but it was my home for 15 years. So, all 3 friends went to go comfort the other friend. On Monday, when they asked how my birthday, I just said, it was great until I got stood up at a restaurant. I wish you told me you weren't coming in the end, so I'd change plans. They called me selfish, and that Lucy needed help and support. I wouldn't understand what it's like being queer in their family, and that I should understand. I understand. But please tell me you weren't coming. I feel like I'm at the bottom rung compared to Lucy. I don't hate them, but tell me that I'm not a priority, so I can move on and find other friends. I'm tired of being treated like something best forgotten. Am I the antagonist for telling my friends my birthday sucked when they were dealing with a crisis? Now for the top comments. NTA, they are not your friends if they can't send a simple message. They aren't my friends anymore. Why be friends with someone who treats you like the last priority always? NTA, your friends didn't show up at all. What an asshole group. They didn't even have the decency to let you know. Am I the antagonist for treating someone how they treat others? My roommate, 32, has a older brother, Mark, 45, who comes and hang out often. We do little parties or sometimes go bars. Most of our friends group is younger, about early to mid 20s. Mark keep hitting on much younger women and making them uncomfortable. Some leave, some yell at them, and some call him a creep. He won't stop or take the hint. He keeps saying he doesn't like women over 25. I'm gay and a couple of my gay friends have decided to start treating Mark like he treats these women. My roommate was mad at me saying I'm making his brother uncomfortable, and I said yes, he needs to do some self-reflection. I promise I would stop, but my friends and I would start again if we see Mark acting like that again, so he can't take the hint. My roommate thinks I'm being mean and disrespectful to his brother, but Mark often approaches a few different girls a night, and I think he should start thinking about how they feel when he tried to creep on them. Now for the top comments. NTA. You're everything that is good in this world. If he feels so uncomfortable with your behavior, why is he doing it to girls who could be his daughters? That's disgusting. Also, your roommate is enough for enabling his disgusting behavior. Yep. That's the argument I always immediately present to guys who seem to not understand the concept of consent. If they understand it, when it's a girl they're not into or a dude they're not into, they understand it. They're just choosing to pretend they don't for their own gain. Next step, level with your roommate. Tell him straight up that, if he's vouching for his brother, he's gotta be the one to tell Mark that he's no longer welcome at these events if, when the behavior continues, he's forcing your hand by allowing the behavior to continue and not being the one to defend your female friends from Mark himself. If it's disrespectful for you to hit on Mark when you know Mark isn't interested, then it's disrespectful for Mark to hit on women who've shown him they are not interested. Calling him a creep is not a hint. That's pretty clear. NTA, you are doing exactly what you should be, standing up for your friends and people in a vulnerable position. If more men were willing to call creeps like this out, I'm sure we would live in a much less traumatized world. Am I the antagonist for not letting a pregnant woman cut in line? Throwaway. I'm native but also on phone, so sorry for any errors. I'm doing my finals at uni at the moment. I'm a workaholic and really methodical person due to traumatic experience, and to help with this, I usually make a very rigorous schedule outside of my classes that I do not let myself break. I have my day part in times to study, do homework, sleep, eat, shower and rest. Rest is usually anything but work, even if it's silly or just a waste of time. This time I was craving something to drink, but I wanted to go outside, so I went to the new cafe a few blocks down the street. It had a long line, like 12 people before I arrived. My rest time is usually 40 minutes and I deduced that it would take at least 20-25 just being in the line. But it was okay, because I was outside and was my rest time, so I just waited. Well, 30 passed and there was still 2 people in front of me. I started to get nervous and thought about just leaving and going somewhere faster like Starbucks. Luckily the first person was attended really fast, so it was just one and me. Then a woman with, dunno, 6 or 7 months pregnant asked if she could go first. I felt like a douche, but said no, because I had my time counted, and if I let her go first then it will take more than what I had to. She said she wouldn't take long. So I asked what was she gonna order, and no kidding she said she wasn't sure yet but maybe 2 frappes. I said no, because then it will eat my time, and I had to go back soon. She gave me the dirty eye, asked the guy behind me, and he said yes. To be honest nobody looked me bad except her, maybe because I was heavily checking my watch every 2 minutes. Everyone cold seen I was telling the truth. I ordered my drink, and arrived just in time. But the woman is still in my mind and I feel weird because she was pregnant. Now for the top comments. NTA, you had waited quite a while. Why should she cut the line? The one situation where I might disagree would be for the restroom, as pregnancy/postpartum causes impossible urgency. But this was not that. And even then, non-pregnant people can urgently need the bathroom for medical stuff. I'm a firm believer that someone should only cut the line from the end, asking each individual person. If you're at the front of a line and want to let someone cut, you need to give up your spot. NTA, you waited, it was your choice whether to let her cut in or not, and if I was behind you, I might be a bit pissed off if you said yes. She is the asshole though for not knowing what she wanted and still wanting to cut in. NTA, maybe what's nagging at you is that you're worried about how others view your schedule. Why care what a perfect stranger thinks of you? It sounds as though you were polite enough, and believe it or not, when a person makes a request or even demand, you're allowed to decline. Give yourself permission to make no a complete sentence. Am I the antagonist for telling my mother-in-law that I'm infertile? Throwaway for obvious reasons. I, 30F, have been with my partner, 34 male, for about 5 years now. We aren't married as it's not something that either of us thinks is important, as we both earn good money and our joint signature is on our mortgage. Mother-in-law does not like this either. Neither do my parents, but that's besides the point. I get on mostly well with his parents, and as such we meet relatively often. My partner thinks family is very important, and insisted we didn't move away from his parents, even though this meant moving ours away from mine. Every time we have dinner with my partner's family his mother brings up having children, telling me that it's important that I have kids before time runs out, and usually I laugh it off and say it's not something I've thought about and that I'm prioritizing my career. The most recent time however I did not, instead faking a breakdown and saying that I just found out that I was infertile and it was a very sensitive topic. Of course, mother-in-law felt awful and instantly went to console me. Here's where I might be the asshole. My partner later confided in me that his older brother's partner has similar struggles with infertility, and by faking this, I made his mother think she will never have biological grandchildren. I don't want to recant what I've said. It's nice to not be interrogated about my reproductive decisions over dinner, and I think this is the best solution to the problem. After all, if we decide to have children later on in our lives, the pregnancy will simply be a miracle and no one will question it. However, my partner has been giving me the cold shoulder and saying that it's ridiculous to act in the manner I did, and that a woman of my age should be thinking about pregnancy. I feel blindsided by this, as until recently I thought we agreed about pregnancy. So, am I the antagonist lying to my mother-in-law about my fertility? Now for the top comments. NTA, but your partner is. Doesn't sound like he's communicating with you, nor is on your side against his mother's harassment. NTA. 1. Who cares if your mother-in-law gets grandkids? If that's a hole she needs to fill, she can volunteer. Boys and Girls Club of America is great, or was when I was a kid, or even foster. 2. You have already told her it's not on your radar. That should stop the conversation. The fact that she continues to badger you makes her tar. 3. Your so should have put a stop to it before you had to escalate for peace of mind. Who cares if your mother-in-law gets grandkids? If that's a hole she needs to fill, she can volunteer. Boys and Girls Club of America is great, or was when I was a kid, or even foster. Oh my goodness. I just had dinner with a friend of my parents who is volunteering as a tutor for a group of foster kids, and she fucking loves it. Her 2 adult kids don't have children themselves, and it's just now occurred to me that maybe that's another reason for her volunteering. But she also was a teacher before she retired, and is just gifted when it comes to working with teens. Boys and Girls Clubs are, from what I saw from my students, still fantastic. I know alums and volunteers, and I'd encourage anyone who has the time and inclination to check them out. Long story short, if you're responsible and want to work with kids, it's not hard to find a way. But if you're hung up on biology, well, that's your own issue to deal with. As someone who has struggled with fertility for my entire adult life, and I'm just now 21 weeks pregnant with a rainbow baby after 10 years of trying, not the a-hole. I hate the "when are you having kids" question, and knowing how infuriating it is. I will never get upset about someone lying about it to get someone off their back about it. I know a lot of people might feel different, but personally I think it's okay, not the a-hole.